Hey, my friend, I'm Steve Austin, and I'm so excited to share with you just a few tips and tricks about stress management. I have just published my fourth book, Catching Your Breath, The Sacred Journey from Chaos to Calm. And that book includes reflections around things like self-care and mental health, spirituality, and faith. But there is this thread throughout the entire book that is all about helping overwhelmed people feel less overwhelmed. It's all about stress management. So I want to tell you about the three biggest mistakes people make when they're stressed out. But before we do that, I want to tell you just a little bit about me. Yes, I am Steve Austin. No, I am not the wrestler. I am also not a doctor or a mental health professional. My story is this. 6 years ago, I was a pastor when I nearly died by suicide. And these days, I spend my time writing books and blogs and creating podcasts and traveling the country speaking to people about shame, self-care, stress management, and suicide prevention. I also get to serve as a life coach, and it is one of my favorite things in the whole world. But at the end of the day, I'm just a guy who tried to die 6 years ago and live to tell about it. So my goal today is to help overwhelmed people and people who feel all alone feel less overwhelmed and less alone. For me, being a survivor, part of that is, yes, it's surviving, but it's also learning how to get my life back. And so these days, I'm determined to make my life work for me rather than feeling like life is just happening to me. And when you're a guy like me and you live with depression and anxiety and PTSD from childhood abuse, that's not always easy. So one of my biggest struggles early on was dealing with not only the mental health issues, but the stress of trying to get healthy after a suicide attempt, plus being a dad, plus being a husband, and going back to work. So the past 6 years since nearly dying by suicide, I have learned a thing or two about feeling completely overwhelmed. If you want to follow my blog, you can do that by going to IamSteveAustin.com. You will find several free e-courses there. There's my weekly blog, links to my podcast, and lots of other great resources to help you when it feels like you're drowning. So let's talk about being overwhelmed. Have you ever just felt completely overwhelmed, felt like you're drowning, and you don't know how to come back up for air? If so, keep watching. So whether you live with mental illness or you love someone who does, besides just the regular symptoms of mental illness, the stress of all that can be exhausting. So what we're going to dive into today is what I think are the three biggest mistakes people make when they're completely stressed out. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had any thoughts like any of these? 1, I feel like I can't catch a break. 2, this day is going to be a total waste. 3, go ahead and kick me while I'm down. And 4, I cannot handle another thing, and it seems like another thing just keeps happening. Now, I've been speaking long enough, writing long enough, coaching long enough to know that you probably have had thoughts similar to that at one point or another. I've seen it posted on social media. I've had people tell me things like that in coaching sessions, confess it at the end of one of my speaking gigs, or email me and say, what do I do? I feel like I'm drowning. So if that's you, if that's true for you, I've got good news. This video is just a little free crash course to help you identify 3 common mistakes that people make when they're completely stressed out. And it's also going to give you 3 better choices for the times when you're having a case of the Mondays. So maybe you're saying, what makes this guy an expert? Well, I'm glad you asked. The truth is, life is a hell of a teacher. Suffering and stress have torn me down. But after nearly dying by suicide, self-compassion, self-care, stress management, and professional help are the things that continue to save my life. So I want to share just a few of the things I've learned along the way, and I hope that it will keep you from getting to the point I got to. And I think that if you heed this advice, you will quickly be able to avoid compounding your stress and making it even worse. And you might even be able to help the people around you that you care about. So let's talk about the top 3 mistakes, the biggest mistakes people make when they're stressed out. Number 1, commiserating with other stressed out people. So when you're stressed out, you know it's really easy to find other stressed out people. Like attracts like. But when's the last time you left a gripe session with another miserable, unhappy, stressed out, negative person and you felt good about it? When did it change your outlook or improve your situation? Probably never. And like it or not, the best thing that you can do for yourself when you're completely stressed out is to avoid other stressed out people. Stay away from people that are operating in this negative headspace. If you know someone is just brooding and they're unhappy and things are not going well for them and you're stressed out, probably not the best time for you two to be together. Instead, surround yourself with people that are in a good space, people who are healthy, people who are happy, people who are whole, people who are making life happen for them rather than feeling bogged down and like life is always happening to them. Now, I know you may not want to be around the always bubbly cheerleader type personality when you're stressed out. I get that. I hear you. Then maybe you don't have to do that. Maybe you can read a book or listen to a podcast or chill out with some music or make an appointment with your counselor or your life coach or take a walk around the block. But you have to do something to get out of that negative headspace, get out of that stressed out mindset, and help yourself calm down. So whatever you choose, just make sure that you're filling yourself up with useful, positive, helpful information and surrounding yourself with people that are like that. Otherwise, all you're doing is this garbage in, garbage out thing, and you're never going to get better by doing that. Commiserating with other stressed out people is a great way to keep you from owning your story, from finding practical solutions to get out of whatever unhealthy situation you're in. Don't do it. So that's number 1. Number 2 is engaging in numbing behaviors. So when I'm stressed out and I'm not dealing with it in a healthy way, I want one of 2 things. I either want ice cream or alcohol. Or maybe I want a little ice cream and a little alcohol, and that's the truth. The sugar from the ice cream and the sugar from the alcohol, they give me that temporary rush, or the alcohol gives me that little buzz and helps my shoulders lower, but it doesn't fix anything. It is temporary. The sugar wears off or the buzz wears off, and I'm still dealing with whatever stressors got me in my recliner, more than likely, stressed out, brooding, unhappy, overwhelmed in the first place. And so now I'm dealing with those stressors and the guilt and the shame over all those extra calories that I've got to burn off, the guilt from binging. It's just not a good thing. So what are numbing behaviors for you? Maybe it's Netflix. Maybe it's zoning out on your phone, scrolling through social media for 2 hours. Maybe it's smoking a cigar on the back porch. I'm not anti any of that stuff. I'm not. I think the problem is the heart behind it. Instead of engaging in numbing behaviors, what if you deal with the stress in a healthy way, in a productive way, and then you reward yourself with your favorite show or some time on social media or some ice cream, right? Or a glass of whiskey. Do you see the difference? It's instead of numbing out, I'm going to deal with these stressors. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to help myself feel less overwhelmed. And then when I've done that hard work, and it is hard work, nobody's saying it is, it's hard work. But when I've done that, I reward myself because I've done the hard work. So what could you do? instead of ice cream, instead of booze, instead of whatever it is that you'd use to numb yourself, maybe you take a walk. Maybe instead of Netflix or Facebook for 2 hours, which I'm totally guilty of, you get together with that friend who always seems to listen and never seems to judge. Or maybe you have the cigar on the back patio while you're on the phone with your life coach. But you do the things that are going to help you get from where you are to the next better place. That's the goal. The third thing, the last one, the third biggest mistake people make when they're completely stressed out is to just push it down and ignore it, to just act like it's not there. There was a time in my life where I was reeling from panic attacks that were brought on from childhood sexual abuse. And I tried to cover it up in 3 ways. I tried to make my life seem perfect so that nobody would ask questions. I became involved in every church activity possible, so I kept myself busy. And again, I'm feeding that perfect poster boy image. And I masked the pain by being the life of the party. If I can keep you laughing, keep you looking here, keep you entertained, right? Put a quarter in the monkey's back and wind him up and watch him dance. If I can do that, then you don't see what's going on back here. You don't see that I'm sad, that I'm stressed out, that I'm angry, that I'm hurting, that I feel alone, that I'm depressed, that I'm anxious, that I don't have it all together. I just want to keep you distracted by looking right here. Look right here, I'm funny. Let me tell you a joke. Let me do something to keep you distracted so you don't see the pain behind that mask. That's what I tried to do. And eventually, all of that came tumbling down, and I had to face myself, the guy in the mirror, for the first time in 29 years. I know that we live in a fear-based, shame-based culture that tells us to discount our pain, to avoid seeming weak at all costs. We want to Botox all of our flaws, and we wish that life in general came with some Instagram filter. But can I tell you, perfection is a great, big, nasty lie. And the only way that you can move forward when you feel like you are drowning is to find the courage to tell the truth and ask for help. So what's that look like, telling the truth? It's as simple as saying, I'm not okay today. This is a really shitty day. I'm totally stressed out today, right? Just admitting it, just saying it, just peeling back the mask and saying, I am not okay. Again, hear what I said, today. It doesn't mean you're not going to be okay forever. It doesn't mean your whole life is a waste. It doesn't mean you're a screw up and a failure. It means today, this moment, this snapshot of my life that I'm in right now is not very good. And I'm not happy about it. And then the second step is, and I need help. So help could look like calling a life coach. It could look like calling that counselor. You've been putting that appointment off for the last 6 months. It could look like picking up the phone and calling them, or calling your best friend, or your mom, or a sibling, or your dad, or your pastor, whoever it is that is going to give you practical resources that will be a safe space to let you vent, to let you air it all out and tell the truth about what is going on in your life. And will hold you, will link arms with you, will walk through that process of de-stressing, of decluttering, of getting rid of the things that are weighing you down and making you feel like you're drowning, the people that will help you let go of that stuff and be patient with you and kind toward you in the process. That's what you got to do. I'm not okay today. I need some help. That's what you have to do. Brene Brown, who's a vulnerability researcher, the author of Daring Greatly, and several other fantastic books that you should go read. She says that shame cannot survive being spoken. Well, a lot of stress is rooted in shame. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not man enough or woman enough. If I was, I wouldn't be feeling this overwhelmed. So you have to speak it out loud. And if you need professional help, if you need mental health help, a lot of times people think that they can't get that help because it's expensive. They don't have insurance. They can't afford it. I do want to give you one website. It's called lowcosthelp.com. lowcosthelp.com. It's a national directory of affordable sliding scale counseling services. So you bring in proof of income, they put it on a sliding scale and say, okay, instead of $100 for this visit, you only have to pay $40. That's just an example I'm pulling out of thin air, but it's a sliding scale. So lowcosthelp.com, check that out. Look, friends, that's it. Those are the 3 biggest mistakes people make when they're stressed out. I know that people are stressed out because the statistics prove it. As of 2017, 18% of American adults report feeling stressed out often, including nights and weekends. So if that sounds like you, I want to invite you to my brand new, totally free e-course, 6 Proven Ways to Calm Down. If you go to gracesmessy.com and you click on the courses link, there's 4 free courses right there. And one of them is 6 Proven Ways to Calm Down. You can also click the button below and subscribe with your email. It's totally free. You're going to get 6 days of emails, practical, actionable steps to calm down, to de-stress, to get your life back, to help it feel like life is happening for you rather than to you. It's totally free, and it's already helping countless people find that sense of calm and serenity, inner peace, maybe that's what you call it. It's simple, practical steps, and I believe the results can improve your physical health, your mental health, strengthen your relationships, and most important of all, give you the ability and the permission to slow down and catch your breath. Thanks for watching. Good luck.